One. Welcome, everybody, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. And I'm so excited to have Anastasia on today. I met her a couple of weeks ago, and I said, I got to have you on my show. You've got so much to offer. She's a young entrepreneur, and she's done some great things in the business world. I want her to share her business world with you, and she's going to give you some tips as well. Anastasia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. I'm honored to be your guest today and hopefully have some insights to share with you.
I know you will after talking to you a couple of weeks ago. Let's start at the beginning of your business life. How'd that start and what got you going?
So my journey started about 13 years ago back in the Ukraine. And after finishing university for specialty of documentary film direction, I was dedicated to learn who are those people around me, because every story that I had time to listen and someone was kind enough to share with me would be more inspiring than any fictional literature that I would come across at that point. So I spent a great amount of time sharing other people's stories, and was always challenged to not just showing you a talking head for an hour, but like, how do you non-verbally increase the interest to the story that was presented by someone who's not Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah.
And moving to California about 8 years ago, I realized that I'm still so fortunate to have so many fascinating folks around me, but not everybody needs a documentary to share that story. To share that journey. And I start hearing about personal branding on every corner. So educating and reading tons of literature around the topic, I realized that there is so many cross connection between the industries, and you basically need to understand what is that story and what is the purpose of sharing it, and then create the brand narrative, create the brand aesthetics and character, and then share it verbally and non-verbally with the people who would like to learn more.
I love that, because that's what we talked about before, was stories. And if you don't have a story for your business, you'll never succeed. I mean, I'm going to flat out say that. I know you agree, because that's what you do. So let's take somebody like me. So I have a business. Mm-hmm. Let's walk through that journey so the audience knows what you do to help them, because I've seen some pictures and seen what you've done. It's absolutely incredible, audience. You need to reach out to her and talk to her more. But let's do that. Say I'm a fashion designer. No, I don't want to do that, because you do fashion. Let's say, no, as you can see, I'm not. So let's say I'm a CEO of a venture capitalist company that works in media, entertainment. So how would you work with me, and how would you start that journey with you?
So first, obviously, will be your brand discovery, right? Where we understand why right now it's important for you to either increase the visibility for your brand, or start building it from the beginning, or readjust the story that was somewhat building your brand ongoingly without you taking active control over it and becoming more intentional about how your audience see you. So first thing is to ask yourself why right now is a good time to be more mindful about the way how people see you, and what is that story you actually want to share with them. Not to go too overwhelmingly about the whole story, we should start with the simple question: what is that you want to be known for?
I want to serving, of course, my pie. Let's say I want to serve. That's, I want to serve the entertainment industry in a better way.
Fantastic. Let's get more specific. Define the better way, and define who out of the entertaining audience you are interested in helping the most.
Great question. Let's say the music industry. I want the audience to see musicians more in a better light, where they do great things for people. Like when you listen to a song, how it makes you feel, the emotions, makes you smile. I'd like to delve into that. That's what we do in our company, is to make those musicians stand out more.
What type of music your musicians are playing?
I love country. I'm a country guy. Country, yes. I know I don't look it, but
see, we're already going through some specific audience and aesthetics, right? Because now you have in mind, okay, it's a musician, so some elements and aesthetics should represent music right? As well as country have very specific style and audience. So from here, you can keep building more. So the second question, what your audience is caring for? Why those are musicians who would be interested in working with you? And who are those listeners who appreciate country music?
Well, I'm looking for the person that wants to listen to music to relax or change the narrative in their day. You know, they've had a bad day and they listen to one of my singers' songs and they put a smile on their face. Then they share that with others. That's the serving part, where they share it with their family or their friends. And they call, hey, did you hear this song from this person? And man, and they both smile. And now you sending smiles throughout a small little world. That's my goal.
Amazing. So you can think of something more soothing, some warmer palette, right? Maybe some natural elements and textures, right? To like create from the first interaction with your brand to create this calming and comforting atmosphere that will inspire you to turn on the radio or a certain track, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And then what are those values you're bringing to your audience and to those musicians? What are those problems you're helping them to solve other than just change the mood?
Serve and give back. I call it law of increase, but I want people, when they hear songs and hear my business and see my business, that we're giving value by serving, not by selling. That when they work with us, they're not only going to, they're going to pay us, of course, there's a value to us, but they're also going to see to pay it forward, to give happiness, to give the romance, to give that out there to the world. That would be that. So
your main, sorry about that. Message will be around sharing, right? About bringing people joy and bringing people together.
Absolutely.
There you already can, sort of imagine what as the person who represents the company, because by the end of the day, people work with people, right? People look who's behind the business and how do they connect or relate to learn more, right? So you as a founder clearly will build the narrative of when this idea started and how one song or one musician changed one of your days completely by putting that smile on your face. So you have the personal connection and also relatable story that will bring audience to check out, okay, oh my God, what he's gonna play next? What other musician I want to Shazam and put on my Spotify right away? Who are those local artists who I can go and see live in person, right? So in your case, because it's community oriented, you basically representing the connection, right? And other than yourself, you also want to create either some simple aesthetics or consistent elements to share for all your musicians, because otherwise it will be very much inconsistent, because every musician separately has their brand, right? But you still want to have that connection with your business.
That's amazing, Anastasia, because in 5 minutes, you've built a story for my business. It's not even a real business. But you took, now I need to start this business, by the way, audience, look out for that. And the next thing I might be working with Anastasia. But that's powerful to me, what you just did. Consulting, I don't coaches, I don't know, whatever word it is.
I didn't pick your color scheme yet.
No, but see, that's the thing is now you have a palette to work with, right?
Right. Well, again, the first you need to understand why you need this brand, then what you want to share and who you're sharing it with, and why those people will benefit from knowing you and from being loyal to your brand, right? And there you just put some details in place and, do the research, always do the research, put the name or type of your business or brand or a person who you look up to who do similar thing and see what they've done. Find for those clues and what makes you recognize that it's one brand and not anyone else. What are those, again, consistent element and those thoughtful element that makes you feel something? Or
that's a great tip, Anastasia. Go out, look at your competition, people similar in your industry are doing, and you do that, I would assume too.
because competitive, not for, I find, especially for the brands like, like the one we were brainstorming about, is that the purpose of the brand is so much more about share and care, right, versus the competition. So I think for that type of brand, I will specifically recommend to look someone who's inspiring, maybe the musician, maybe the radio station, maybe a documentary series, something that you genuinely inspired by, and go to listen yourself, right? Not only for your for your channels, but like who are those channels and brands that make you feel good at the rainy day.
That's a lot of great information. Audience, I hope you heard that. Re-listen to this if you didn't. There's a lot of great nuggets in there, nuggets and tips that you could take for your business. But I suggest reach out to her too if you want to grow big, because that's what she does. So let's talk about industries that you, is there certain industries you like to work with to tell the audience that might get their ear?
Yes. There are lots of industries, especially in Silicon Valley, that are genuinely inspiring to me because they connect in different industries in order to create some either innovative product or a venture fund that will open an opportunity to the evolution and progress, right? And behind all of that, more often I meet very dedicated, very hardworking people who are driven by their purpose. So most of the time, my ideal or my most inspiring client is someone who's been pretty accomplished by now, working and achieving many things in different industries or building different businesses along their career. Yeah. And now they're at the point where their story is inspiring, their story is phenomenal, but it's very incohesive and it's hard to find the full story somewhere other than Googling for an hour and finding every article or connection. Yeah. Different companies that they successfully sell or run till now. So often is that very complicated, very pivotal route that need, more cohesive representation. And every single one who I met that way was around technology, around, serving and trying to solve real world problems, like plastic pollution or the not enough care. Sorry, I've tried to watch at the same time, so my tongue is a little slower than my brain at the moment.
Yeah, no problem.
So for as I mentioned, the pollution of the earth mostly was plastic. This is something that bugs me a lot. And then the second is the lack of the quality education, because you not necessarily need to spend thousands of dollars to go to Harvard to actually learn and become expert in somewhere. So people who are caring for provide more information and more tools on how to study and learn, like those businesses who creating apps for the self-care or curiosity-provoking businesses, or how we can fix the system that was, outdated for some time. Those innovators who trying to bring the decentralized system in order to fix corruption, and so usually people who trying to not only make money but also make a difference and have enough knowledge and enough background and enough funding to actually create some next level products or companies in order to make our communities thrive and also make sure that we're not killing our mother planet too quickly.
Amen. Amen. I love that. I want to talk about people in the audience because it's an international podcast. I mean, it's going to be all over the world. What I love about you is you came from Ukraine. You came from a different country. You had to assimilate to the United States. Yes, in a quick, few minutes, tell us how you did that and give the audience out there that are coming from other countries to build a business what you did to be able to be where you are today.
That's a great question. Well, as you can tell, I was always a curious person, and traveling was the first eye-opening experience for me where I could learn about other cultures and see what my culture could be doing better, and what I can be doing better, how I can grow as a person. So I got a little bit addicted by traveling, and everywhere I go, I would document and meet cool people. As I mentioned, for the last 13 years, I was self-employed, and sharing people's stories. Those stories that was inspiring for me. Those who are not inspired, clearly, we did not cross paths more than once. Long story short, finding myself in the United States, I realized that it's truly the country. I did not have an American dream. I did not have a goal to come to America and succeed here. But what I realized very quickly, comparing to other countries, even in Europe, that America really supporting and giving a chance to every dreamer who comes here. If you have something to offer, if you're really following your dream, if you have an idea, not only as your dream, but as an actual, at least a draft of a plan, there are so many people who will be willing to hear your story, who will be willing to give you advice and give you a chance. And I feel very fortunate for meeting people who saw the value in what I do, who saw that my vision is different from a corporate headshot or any, transactional quick photo taken, right?
Yep.
And that I do take pictures and create images for people differently, caring for their stories and building that environment and background behind them, not just putting the blank backdrop and saying, okay, now smile, put this, shoulder a little lower, click, here you go, money, please, right? So I was given enough chances everywhere I went, just by, sharing my story and listening to other people and offering and suggesting what we could be doing together. So here I am today, working with fascinating human beings who accomplish so much, and with whom I'm, feeling motivated every day to do a little more, to offer beyond, and to, follow the dream that we're so fortunate to create here together.
And I love that the motivation, because that's what serving does. And it's a great story coming from Ukraine. And you just started working with people, serving, helping, and learning from them. And people out there internationally going from a time, that's a tip to take from this. Look where she's at. She's just willing to work with people, be open, right?
Absolutely.
Have that door open.
Also, I must say about Ukraine, though, we all know that there are lots of tragic and horrific things happening at the moment. Let's call it war, let's call it genocide, right? And people are dying every single day. And there was one huge realization for me here, not only how fortunate I am to be in a safe space, and more stable, so I can provide more help back home, but also it hit me very hard as an immigrant that for you who never been in Ukraine, I am Ukraine, right? I am that representation of the country, and that strength and attention to the story, and something, something very humane that you will take home with you after talking to me. And I think, today you not necessarily need to be Ukrainian to really think about what matters to you and how do you want to live in this freedom and peace with yourself and with the world, to prevent anything like, tragic actions in Ukraine, tragic news from Ukraine come to your life, and what we can do every day to be a little more better and a little more intentional about things that we build and the way we connect with each other as human beings.
Thank you, Anastasia. That's a great message, and we're all praying for Ukraine. It's January 18th today, and it's still going on. We don't know how long, but we'll keep praying for them. And it's unique that when I met you, you're from Ukraine. Everything that's going on, I'm glad you mentioned that. Do you have a book that you read, or maybe a couple that you read that you like to share with the audience that's really helped you?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll share with you links so you can easily find it. The one I actually finished recently, it's called Surrounded by Idiots. And it's basically a great book that separates, or separates probably will be the wrong word, but explains the human types and reaction to other human types in interaction to prevent conflicts between people who are wired differently. And I find it very interesting and, meet it so often and find it relatable when I work with different types of people. And again, traveling helps me a lot to not consider that someone's an idiot right away, but take some time to understand and learn how, what is the story behind this person and what makes them operate in a certain way. And the second book that I can recommend called Aesthetic Intelligence. Shortly, it's describing the difference between aesthetic and the what's inside, right? I'm not sure what that
You're
word
saying,
means.
no, it's right. Yeah.
So basically, for a simple example, if you open the coffee shop and you're serving the best espresso in town, this is your signature thing, and everybody will line up to try your best espresso. But you decided for some weird reason to be very creative and serve it in a beer glass. And it just does not make sense to your audience. It does not taste the same. And it will not sell because it's just a travesty to espresso from the beer glass, even if it's the best one in the city. So that book explains how visually you can really back up and sell without selling, but by making sense to your audience who never met your product or business from the first glance, to have that impression that everything is so aligned and in place that you trust that the quality and value is also in the place more quickly.
I love those two books. Those are the first one I've heard of. Actually, one of my guests mentioned it, so it's a second shout out for that. The second one I've never heard of, and I'm doing a book directory. So, audience, I'll have the link in the show notes as well, where I'm building a library for people. That's why I ask. One, because it's a great tip for you, and two, I want people to have access to books. Readers out there are always looking for a new book, a new way to grow, a new way to get better, and books are a great way to do that. I heard yesterday, leaders are readers. And I think I believe that, and you do too, because look where you are today. Anastasia, I want to thank you so much. We're coming to the end here. Your story is incredible, which is why you tell stories with photography. And I would suggest go to your show notes. Now, in your website, do you have these pictures that you share with me before? Do you have some of those before and after pictures that people can see?
Awesome. That's a great idea. But I share some of them on my social profiles like LinkedIn or Instagram.
Perfect. So reach out there. You need to look at these. I was blown away how much the change from these photographs. They're fantastic. She's just the best. Love her, what she's doing.
I'm making blush now.
Oh, no, don't blush. No, because you are. And I appreciate you being on. I always like to leave the audience a great either business, personal tip that you've used, especially coming from Ukraine and all that you've done. What's that one tip you want to leave them?
Stay curious. Stay humble and curious, and it will take you very far. I think that's all I have to give out as the tip.